Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. Today, we're tackling someone, well, I guess you could say pretty iconic.
Yeah, tough to top this guy.
The one and only Leonardo da Vinci. But here's the thing.
It's more than just Mona Lisa.
Exactly. We're going way deeper than the surface using these excerpts from, get this, an English learning podcast script as our guide.
I know, right? Da Vinci for English learners.
Speaks volumes about his global reach, doesn't it?
Absolutely. But for us, for this deep dive, it's about uncovering the why.
Why, centuries later, we're still obsessed.
Obsessed is right.
So, okay, picture this. 1452, but not some Renaissance city you'd expect.
Nope.
Vinci, a small town near Florence.
And already, curveball number one.
Leonardo's born out of wedlock.
Which, back then, huge deal.
Closed doors, limited options, no fancy education.
But, and this is where it gets interesting, that lack of formal learning.
Might have been his secret weapon.
Exactly. Think about it. No stuffy classrooms, no rigid lessons.
Just a kid out in the world, soaking it all in.
A self-made observer.
Precisely. His mind was like this constant nature documentary, absorbing every detail
And that becomes the foundation.
of everything he does.
And it shows, even as a teenager,
Because that's when he lands this apprenticeship.
with Andrea del Verrocchio.
Huge name in Florence.
Superstar artist.
And the story goes, Verrocchio practically quit painting after seeing what Leonardo could do.
Wait, seriously?
That's the legend. Can you imagine being that
But
good?
their master's like, I'm out.
Speaks to the skill, even at that age.
Like, here's the thing.
Painting, just one tiny part of it.
Right, it's like this guy's canvas of talents was gigantic.
Unquenchable thirst for knowledge.
Across every discipline imaginable.
You name it, he was into it.
And those notebooks, legendary.
Anatomical sketches, detailed like modern textbooks.
Engineering ideas, centuries ahead of their time.
Flying machines.
Seriously, it's like he time traveled and brought back blueprints.
It wasn't passive either.
Right, he wasn't just sitting back watching.
He was dissecting, peeling back the layers, figuring out how it all worked.
Like reverse engineering the world.
Take those anatomical drawings, for example.
Not just what he saw on the surface.
Muscles, bones, the whole system.
Mind-blowing to think centuries before the tools we have now.
He was already doing it.
Pioneering a whole field.
Absolutely. But then there's this paradox,
A what now?
this contradiction.
Okay, I'm listening.
Leonardo was notorious for starting things
And?
and not quite finishing.
You're kidding!
Like the adoration of the Magi.
That's a big one, right?
Huge, sprawling, unfinished masterpiece.
But wait, doesn't a work kind of have to be done to make an impact?
You'd think so, right?
To influence, to be seen.
But that's where Leonardo's process gets fascinating.
Oh.
It almost feels like, for him, the exploration was the reward,
Pushing boundaries, the experimentation.
more than the final product.
So in a way, those unfinished work
They're just as powerful.
as a glimpse into his mind.
Exactly. We're right there with him.
Seeing the tinkering, the brainstorming.
But of course, when he did finish something,
Oh, yeah.
game changer.
Like the Last Supper?
More than just paint on a wall.
A story, emotions, a whole moment captured.
And then, of course, there's Mona Lisa.
The ultimate portrait.
That smile.
Analyzed for centuries.
Was it intentional? Did he stumble onto some profound truth about human emotion?
I mean, it still captivates us today.
It's almost like he knew, leaving things open to interpretation.
Makes it even more powerful.
Timeless.
Like a book you can't stop thinking about.
Brilliant insight. And it leads us to another piece of this genius puzzle,
Let's hear it.
his scientific and engineering side.
Right. Mona Lisa is artistic mastery.
But Leonardo's curiosity, it went way beyond that.
Down a totally different path.
One that changed history.
Buckle up, folks. This is where things get wild.
Tanks, helicopters, scuba gear.
We're talking centuries before these things existed.
It's like he had a time machine pulling blueprints from the future.
I'm picturing these simple sketches.
Oh, no.
More than stick
His
figures.
helicopter design, based on the principle of an aerial screw.
So he wasn't just imagining.
He was understanding how it could work.
Centuries ahead in creativity and science.
Exactly. And the tank. Conical shape, cannons all around.
Like a prototype for modern armor.
He had it powered by humans cranking gears inside.
Impractical, but still, the concept was there
It boggles the mind, someone in the 15th century.
with those ideas.
Imagine if he'd had even basic modern tools.
The
It
possibilities.
really makes you think how much potential is limited by the technology of our time.
And makes Leonardo even more impressive.
Absolutely. But it begs the question, would he even be impressed by us? by our tech today?
Good point. Or would it be just, yep, saw that coming?
I think it'd be a mix, wouldn't it?
Amazed by the speed, the computing power, space travel.
But also, maybe a knowing nod.
Like, I explored these principles ages ago.
He laid the groundwork, planted those seeds.
And it makes you wonder what seeds are being planted now.
By today's innovators, thinkers,
Are we on the brink of another renaissance?
driven by this fusion of technology, art, science.
Could be. And I bet Leonardo, with that endless curiosity.
He'd be thrilled to see how far we've come.
But you know, for all the futuristic inventions, we can't forget
Leonardo was an artist at heart.
his core.
Those pursuits, science, engineering, it was all intertwined with his artistic vision.
He saw the world through both lenses.
Beauty and complexity in everything,
So valuable, that perspective,
especially today.
when we tend to compartmentalize everything.
Leonardo showed us real innovation happens when those lines blur.
When art and science meet.
Key takeaway, for sure. He wasn't afraid to see connections where others saw only boundaries.
A lesson for us all, no matter what we do. You know, funny thing is, we started asking what we'd ask Leonardo,
Right.
but maybe the real question is,
What would he ask us?
whoa, mind blow.
What would he be most curious about?
Our tech, our understanding of the universe.
Or something deeper?
Honestly, I think it'd be our imagination.
Or what?
What we're dreaming up, the new frontiers, the challenges we face.
Because for him, the pursuit of knowledge,
Never ending.
and that's something we can all try for.
Keeping that spark alive.
Asking questions, pushing boundaries.
Exactly. So, wrapping up our dive into Leonardo.
It goes way beyond the paintings, the invention,
It's about the power of curiosity
that human potential
and the impact one person can have.
when they dared to dream big.
Well said. I hope this sparked some of that Leonardo-esque curiosity in you all.
Maybe pick up a biography,
Sketch out your own invention.
or just look at the world with fresh eyes.
Because remember, the journey is as important as the destination.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, keep that wonder alive.
You never know, maybe you'll be the one to unlock the next big mystery.
Make the next groundbreaking discovery.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.
Makes you think, doesn't it? If you could actually sit down with Leonardo, just you and him, what's that one burning question you'd ask?
Ooh, that's a toughie. So many come to mind. I guess for me, I'd want to know, what did he think was his greatest accomplishment? Not just what he was proud of, but what really pushed the limits.
That's a great one. Gets to the heart of his drive, right? You think he'd point to a painting, an invention, maybe something from those notebooks that never even saw the light of day.
Knowing how much he loved the process, the exploring, I almost think it'd be something from a notebook. A sketch of a flying machine or one of those intricate anatomy drawings. Something that represents that endless curiosity.
Fascinating, isn't it? The journey just as important as the destination. Speaking of inventions, though, let's dig into those a bit. We mentioned tanks, helicopters, scuba gear, but what did those designs actually look like?
I have to admit, I'm picturing like pretty basic sketches, almost childlike. But then again, this is Leonardo.
Oh, you better believe they were detailed, sophisticated, even if they seemed crazy at the time.
Give me an example.
Okay, his helicopter. It was based on this thing called an aerial screw. Wouldn't have actually worked with the materials they had back then, but the concept. Remarkably close to how modern helicopters create lift.
No way. So he wasn't just coming up with these wild ideas.
He understood the science behind them.
That's incredible.
And the tank design, equally impressive. Conical shape, cannons all around it, like an early version of an armored vehicle. Of course, he imagined it being powered by, get this, humans cranking gears inside.
Okay, that's a bit much.
Not practical, sure, but the core idea, bang on.
Seriously mind-boggling to think someone in the 15th century came up with these things. Makes you wonder what he could have done with, I don't know, even basic modern tools.
The possibilities.
Yeah.
It really makes you realize how much our creativity is shaped by the tools we have access to.
Makes his genius even more impressive. But all this talk about futuristic inventions, it begs the question, would Leonardo even be impressed by us? By our technology today?
Great question. Or would it be more like, yeah, told you so?
Right, like a mix of amazement at the speed, the computing power, space travel.
But also that sense of, I don't know, validation. Like he was on the right track all along.
I explored these principles ages ago. It's like he laid the groundwork, planted the seeds.
And it makes you think, what seeds are being planted now by today's big thinkers?
Are we on the verge of, like, Leonardo 2.0?
Yeah,
A new era of art and science colliding.
Maybe we are. I bet he'd be thrilled to see it all unfolding.
Yeah.
But, amidst all the technological marvels, it's easy to forget. Leonardo, at his core,
He was an artist.
that was his essence. And all those other pursuits, they weren't separate. They were all woven together with his art.
He saw the world through both lenses.
The beauty, the complexity, and everything.
And that's such a crucial perspective, especially now when we try to put everything in neat little boxes.
Right. Art over here, science over there. But Leonardo, he showed us that real breakthroughs happen when those lines blur.
When we stop separating things.
Key takeaway, right there. He wasn't afraid to connect the dots, even when others saw only division.
A lesson for all of us, I think. It's funny, we started this whole thing asking, what question would we ask Leonardo?
Right. If we had the chance.
But maybe the more intriguing question is,
What would he ask us?
now that's a mind bender. What do you think he'd be most curious about?
Our tech. Our understanding of the universe. Or something even deeper about being human.
Honestly, I think it'd be our imagination.
Our imagination.
Yeah. What are we dreaming up? What new frontiers are we pushing? What challenges are we grappling with? Because for Leonardo, that quest for knowledge never really ended.
And that's something we can all strive for,
Yeah,
right? To keep that fire burning. Never stop asking questions, pushing boundaries.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this part of our dive into Leonardo's world,
It goes way beyond the Mona Lisa, the inventions, the notebooks,
it's about that human desire to understand
the endless potential of our minds.
and the incredible things that can happen when one person dares to dream big.
And that, my friend, is a legacy worth celebrating.
Okay, but imagine for a second, Leonardo walks into like a modern art museum,
Oh, whoa.
abstract expressionism installations.
What would he think?
Right, part of me's like, he'd be so excited.
By the sheer range of it, the pushing boundaries.
But then there's that other part,
The one as if he'd missed something.
like that groundedness and observation.
The study of nature, that was his base.
It's a tension, isn't it?
Tradition versus innovation.
Mastering the basics, but also breaking new ground.
Every artist deals with that, even now.
And I bet Leonardo, restless as he was,
He'd be right in the middle of that debate.
pushing us further, but not forgetting where it all starts.
Absolutely. So, thinking about his legacy, what do you think is most relevant now?
Aside from the obvious, the art, the science,
I think it's that curiosity, that drive to learn.
and the way he blended disciplines,
It's more important than ever in our world.
things are so complex, interconnected.
You got to connect the dots, see the big picture.
He was like STEAM education personified.
Centuries before we even had the term.
Makes you wonder, are we doing enough to encourage that today?
In our schools, in our thinking,
It's a big question. If we want more Leonardos, right?
we need to create spaces where curiosity thrives.
Where those lines between subjects blur.
Exactly. Encourage kids to think differently.
Across fields, creatively, critically.
It's not just about memorizing facts.
Or being good at one thing, it's about being adaptable.
Seeing things from different angles.
Connecting those ideas in new ways.
And that's what Leonardo's legacy is all about, really.
More than any one masterpiece.
It's about that human potential.
To be curious, to learn, to never stop asking why.
And the impact they can have on the world.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, folks, that wraps up our Leonardo deep dive.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Hopefully it sparked some of your own curiosity.
Maybe you'll read up on him, try your hand at inventing something.
Or just look around with a new perspective.
Remember, the journey's the thing. So keep exploring, keep those questions coming, never lose that wonder.
Maybe you'll be the one to make the next big breakthrough. Who knows? Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep those minds sharp and those imaginations running wild.